Friends, welcome to Thorough Education on the digital class platform. Here I am taking mathematics class 9. Myself, Mr. H.V. Kevadia. Chapter number 5, Introduction to Euclid's Geometry. Friends, the word geometry comes from the Greek words. Geo means earth and metry means to measure. To measure the earth, this is geometry. In ancient India, the Sulba Sutras were the manuals of geometrical constructions. The Sri Yantra, which you are familiar with, Sri Yantra, everyone has at their home Sri Yantra, given in Atharvaveda, consists of 9 interwoven isosceles triangles. How many triangles? 9, friends. 9 triangles are there. These 9 triangles are arranged in such a way that they produce 43 subsidiary triangles. Out of 9, they produce 43 triangles which are subsidiary. In this way, a Sri Yantra has total 52 triangles. 9 plus 43. Right? Okay. Now, a Greek mathematician, Thales, is credited with giving the first known proof. First known proof. Proof का मतलब है to prove something. That is proof in geometry. He stated that a circle is bisected by its diameter. A circle is bisected by its diameter. Now, Pythagoras was one of the famous students of Thales. Do you know, friends, Pythagoras? Yes, you are very well aware of Pythagoras. He gave a formula for finding out hypotenuse from the two adjacent sides of the right angle. That is, you know very well, square of the hypotenuse is equals to sum of the squares of the other two sides. And you will prove this theorem in class 10th. Friends, Pythagoras was Thales' student. Euclid was an Egyptian mathematician, mathematics teacher, who collected all known work and arranged it in his famous treatise called Elements. Euclid collected all his work in Elements. They were divided into 13 chapters. How many chapters? 13. Each chapter was called a book. Elements were divided into 13 chapters and each chapter was called a book. A solid has 3 dimensions, a surface has 2, a line has 1 and a point has no dimension. You know surface, that means solid, surface, line and point. Solid, that means a thing which we see in 3 dimensions. Surface, that is a plane surface, suppose a blackboard, top of the table. Line, that is edge of the table, and a dot, that is point. These statements were summarized as definitions by Euclid. He gave 23 definitions in book 1 of Elements. In book 1, he gave 23 definitions. There were 13 books, 13 chapters, and each chapter was called a book. That is 13 books in which the book 1 contains 23 definitions of elements. Some of them are given here, some definitions are given here. Look at the definitions. A point is that which has no part. Look at the full stop. This is a point. It has no part, no length, no breadth, no height. A line is breadthless length. Breadthless length, that means the length without breadth. The ends of a line are points. If you draw a line, there are 2 points which are endpoints. A straight line is a line which lies evenly with the points on itself. If you Draw dot 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 dot. Then join all the dots. This is a line. Straight line is a line which lies evenly with the points on itself. Points means dots. A surface is that which has length and breadth only, no height at all. This is a surface. The edges of a surface are lines. If you take a surface, then edges of surface are line. A plane surface is a surface which is evenly with the straight lines on itself. Plane surface, evenly with straight lines on the surface. A point, a line and a plane in Euclid's words are undefined terms. Euclid said that these are undefined terms. Euclid assumed certain properties which were not to be proved, and they are called axioms. Axioms and postulates. Axioms and postulates do not have proof. They do not have proofs. Postulates are assumptions that were specific to geometry, and axioms were not specific to geometry. Look at the Euclid's axioms. Some of Euclid's axioms are: things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. Things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. If equals are added to equals, the wholes are equal. Right? Equals are added to equals. Friends, remember these axioms. There are 7 here. If equals are added to equals, the wholes are equal. That means if we add equal things, then the wholes are equal. If equals are subtracted from equals, the remainders are equal. 4 number, things which coincide with one another are equal to one another. Coincide with, that means if both the things are similar, then they are equal to one another. The whole is greater than the part. This is asked in the exercise also. Explanation of this is asked in exercise. The whole is greater than the part. Suppose the whole room is greater than a part of that room. Things which are double of the same things are equal to one another. Things which are double of the same things are equal to one another. Things which are halves of the same things are equal to one another. In this way, these are the definition, that means axioms of Euclid. Now we are seeing 5 postulates of Euclid. Here are 5 postulates. Postulate number 1. A straight line may be drawn from any one point to any other point. Suppose this is one point P. We can draw straight line from P to Q. You can draw up to here. You can draw from P to another point. So from one point to other point, a straight line can be drawn. A terminated line can be produced infinitely. Terminated line. This is P and Q. If PQ is terminated line, P can be extended towards this side, and Q can be extended towards this side. So a terminated line can be produced infinitely. A circle can be drawn with any center and any radius. Circle can be drawn with any center and any radius. Okay. All right angles are equal to one another. You know very well, right angles are of 90 degree and all right angles are equal. Postulate number 5, Euclid has given. This is a little tough but not hard. If a straight line is falling on 2 straight lines, PQ is a straight line, falls on straight line AB and CD. makes the interior angles on the same side of it taken together. That means sum of interior angles of the same side 1 plus 2 less than 2 right angles, that is less than 180, 90 plus 90. Then the two straight lines, this AB and CD, two straight lines, if produced infinitely towards this side, meet on that side on which the sum of angles is less than 2 right angles. If we produce this line towards this direction, then this line will meet at a point, and if we extend or produce this line towards this direction, they will never meet, because the sum of these interior angles is greater than 2 right angles and sum of 1 and 2 is less than 90 plus 90, that is 2 right angles. Okay friends, theorem number 5.1. Here it is. Two distinct lines cannot have more than one point in common. AB and CD are two distinct lines and they intersect at single point, that is, they cannot intersect at any other point. Only one point, not more than one. Here is exercise number 5.1. 5.1. Which of the following statements are true and which are false? Give reasons for your answer. Here one is only one line can pass through a single point. Yes, this statement is false because many lines can be passed through a single point. I have drawn here a figure which shows that many lines can be passed. Okay, statement number 2. There are an infinite number of lines which pass through two distinct points. If 2 points are given, then again this statement is false. If 2 points are given, then only one line can be drawn, not more than one. If we draw more than one, then they cannot pass through the 2 points. So this is false. A terminated line can be produced infinitely on both the sides. Yes. Postulate 2. Terminated line PQ can be produced on both the sides. If two circles are equal, then the radii are equal. Okay. Yes, this statement is true because all the congruent circles are equal to the equal and the radii are equal. Radius also equal. Number 5. If AB equals to PQ equals to xy, then AB equals to xy. This statement is also true because AB equals to PQ, then again PQ equals to xy, then AB and xy both are equal, right? Now question number 2. Here is written question number 2. Give definition for each of the following terms. Are there other terms that need to be defined first? What are they and how might you define them? So friends, before going to define these terms, we need to define the following terms. Here 5 terms are given and these are the terms which we should define first. Point, line, plane, ray, angle, circle, quadrilateral. So first of all, point. A small dot made on sheet of paper gives an idea of a point. You know very well this full stop is a point. Another, a set of points on a straight path gives concept of a line which can be extended on both the sides up to unlimited length. Line can be drawn up to unlimited length. Plane. A surface of paper sheet or a smooth surface of glass gives concept of a plane. Surface of paper sheet or a glass surface. give the concept of plane. Here is ray. A ray is a line which has one end point and extended at the other side up to unlimited length. Ray, you know ray. Arrow. Arrow can be extended up to unlimited length. Angle. An angle is the union of two non-collinear rays, two non-collinear arrows. Suppose one arrow goes to this direction and the other goes to this direction with common initial point. The initial point must be common. Then angle is produced. Circle. A circle is the set of all those points in a plane whose distance from a fixed point remains same. Distance from a fixed point remains same. This is a circle. Then quadrilateral. A closed figure made of 4 line segments is called a quadrilateral. You know quadrilateral. Now again, definition of parallel lines. First definition of question number 2, parallel lines. If a perpendicular distance between two lines is always constant, then these are called parallel lines. Look at line L and line M. They have same distance between them at all the points. This and this. All the points have same distance between them. Perpendicular distance is same. So this L parallel to M. This is the symbol L parallel to M. Number 2, perpendicular lines. When two lines intersect at right angle, then they are known as perpendicular lines. Look at the lines. Line L perpendicular to line M. They intersect at right angle here. And here is the symbol L perpendicular to M. Next, third definition, line segment. A straight line drawn from any point on a plane to any other point on the same plane is known as a line segment. Look at the line segment AB. Line segment AB. A is the point and I have drawn it up to B. So AB is a line segment. Radius of a circle. We can draw a circle and take a radius from center. Okay. The distance between center and any point on the circle is known as radius of a circle. Distance between center and any point on the circle is known as radius. Square. A quadrilateral having all sides equal and all angles are of right angles is known as a square. Okay. Now question number 3. Here is question number 3. There are two postulates given. One is, given any two distinct points A and B, there exists a third point C which is in between A and B. Any 2 points A and B, there exists a third point. It's wrong. If A and B are exactly nearest points, then C must not be there. There exist at least 3 points that are not on the same line. Yes, this is true. There are many underlying undefined terms in these postulates, such as point, line, etc. These postulates are consistent because they refer to two different situations. They do not follow Euclid's postulates but follow axiom, which is, given two distinct points, there is a unique line that passes through them. Unique line that passes through them. Unique, that means one and only one. This is unique. Now question number 4. In question number 4, it is given that if a point C lies between 2 points A and B such that AC equals to BC, Then prove that AC equals to half AB. Explain by drawing the figure. Here is the figure. Here is the figure. AC equals to BC. We have to prove AC equals to BC. Sorry, given. We have to prove AC equals to half AB. So what is it? ACB, that is C lies between A and B. And another thing is given, AC equals to BC. Therefore C is the midpoint of AB. This C is midpoint of AB. C lies between A and B. C lies between A and B. So AC plus BC equals to AB. You see, AC plus BC equals to AB. Right? But it is given that BC equals to AC. So we can write BC equals to AC. So AC plus AC equals to AB. Therefore 2AC equals to AB. And 2 goes to right side and it is in the denomination. So AC equals to half AB. AC equals to half AB. Question number 5 of this exercise. Question number 5 says that in question number 4, point C is called a midpoint, right, of line segment AB. Prove that every line segment has one and only one midpoint. On every line segment has one and only one midpoint. We are given AB has one midpoint C. So let us consider another midpoint D of AB. This is only assumption. Suppose D is midpoint of AB. Then AD equals to DB. AD equals to DB. But it is given AC equals to CB. Right? AC equals to BC is given because C is the midpoint. Therefore we can conclude that point C and D are same points. They are same points. So we can say that a line segment has only one midpoint. C and D both are same point. So this has only one midpoint. Again question number 6. In question number 6, it is given that AC equals to BD. Then prove that AB equals to CD. Here AC equals to BD. We have to prove AB equals to CD. Let's prove. AC equals to BD given. We have to subtract BC from both the sides. BC is to be subtracted. AC minus BC equals to BD minus BC. Okay. Then AC minus BC, that is AB, and BD minus BC, that is CD. So AB equals to CD. We have proved. Question number 7. Why is axiom 5 in the list of Euclid's axioms considered a universal truth? Euclid's fifth axiom states that a full is greater than a part. Right? It is a universal truth. Let us take an example. Consider the continent Asia as a full. Continent Asia, you know, India is a country in it, and it is a part of Asia. India lies in Asia. So India is a part of Asia. It is obvious that Asia is greater than India. Right? India is smaller. Therefore, we can say that Euclid's fifth axiom is universal truth. Now we are going to the another topic. The first exercise completed. Another topic is equivalent version of Euclid's fifth postulate. For every line L and for every point P not lying on L, there exists a unique line M passing through P and parallel to L. Here it is said L is a line and P is a point outside L, not on L. Okay, the statement says that there is a unique line M, which passes through P and parallel to L. Passes through P and parallel to L. This line and this inclined lines are not parallel to L. They pass through P, but they are not parallel to L. But M is the only line. Unique means only one line passing through P and parallel to L. Okay, now we are going to exercise 5.2. Exercise 5.2 has only 2 questions. Therefore, I have taken the whole chapter in a single video. So you can pause the video to understand. You can watch the video again and again. If you watch it again and again, you will understand what the video says. Here, how would you rewrite Euclid's fifth postulate so that it would be easier to understand? Here is Euclid's fifth postulate. If a straight line falling on two straight lines make the interior angles on the same side of it taken together less than two right angles, then the two straight lines, if produced indefinitely, meet on the side on which the sum of angles is less than two right angles. Okay, these are two lines which we have seen earlier in postulate, and angle 1 and 2 are the two angles. Here the statement is given in the easier way: the sum of the same side interior angles. This is transversal PQ and same side interior angles are 1 and 2. Is less than 180, that is two right angles. 180 means two right angles. If it is so, then they meet at a point when they are extended on that side. On that side, that means the two interior angles which are less than two right angles. If we extend these lines, then they meet at a point. We have already drawn the figure in postulate 5 and here also. Okay. Question number 2. Does Euclid's fifth postulate imply the existence of parallel lines? Explain. If we want to imply Euclid's fifth postulate on parallel line, then will it be alright? Yes. If a transversal L falls on parallel lines M and N are parallel lines and transversal is L, and the sum of angles of one side of line L is equals to two right angles 180. Look at the figure. One side is 180, 90 plus 90. Then the sum of the angles of the other side of L will be equal to two right angles. Then look at the side. This side, this is also 90 plus 90. Here 90 plus 90 and here 90 plus 90. That is 180 equals to 180. Line M and N never meet each other. If we extend both the sides on both the lines, then the line never meet. Therefore, they are parallel. Look at the figure and look at the explanation. I have explained all the things with figure wherever possible, and now I would like to say that you should keep touch with me and our classes on digital class so that you can learn better, you can score better. Friends, suggest your friends about Toral Education on digital class so that they also can learn it on a better way. Thank you for being with us. Thank you very much.